Dan's back.
Heck yeah.
Oh, man.
Thursday night.
Dude, I feel like a dick. I really do.
Well, you are one, but why now?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I like to think I'm not a dick, but we're just going to move past that point. My wife is sick now,
Oh,
and so is my daughter.
well,
But I
that's
think it
how
all
it
stems
goes.
from my son. So it's all his fucking fault.
Just blame him. Yeah. Always that's the best part of having a kid is you can always blame them for something.
Right?
But no, they're the ones who keep bringing it in.
Exactly, man. And
Yeah. But that's the way it works. Soon as they hit about like 4 or 5, they won't be getting sick as often. At least
no,
that's how it's gone for me.
I hope so, because, man, I'm getting tired of this crap.
Yeah.
Gotta love it, though.
Yep. You're laid up one weekend, and then the following weekend, you're taking care of everybody else. That's the way
Yeah.
it goes.
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing that this weekend, that's for sure.
Yep.
Make sure everyone's sleeping, which, you know what? It sounds like a quiet weekend for me.
That's alright. It's gonna be warm too. It's gonna
It
be a
is.
warm weekend.
I just had like the last remnants left of a cough, and other than that, I'm feeling back to my old self, all giddy and chipper.
Heck yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Well, you ready to do the intro? Start the show.
Yeah, man. Let's get a good chat going.
I'm looking forward to tonight.
Welcome to the Whitetail Advantage Podcast with your host, Brett Bovin. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Well, it's gonna be a relaxing night. Just not that any other night's not a relaxing night while we're on here talking, but just you and I on here talking, and we're pretty much just
You
gonna
and
dabble.
I.
You and I holding hands.
No, not that song. You
What?
ruined it, Brett.
I did?
Yes.
Son of a bitch.
Oh, well. But, if you're down to, mix it up a little bit tonight, I thought you said that you might be interested in doing some, fishing talk.
No, I fucking hate fishing.
No,
If
you
you talk
don't.
about fishing, I will fucking run away.
That is a lie. You
No, I'm
like
kidding.
to
Let's
fish.
talk about some fishing.
Okay.
Let's go fishing.
Oh, I love that one. Can I hit the button again? Did you hear it?
I heard it. It worked. You actually have the, button working.
Hey, I finally have something working for us, finally.
Heck yeah, man.
Can I hit it again? Can I hit it again?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's go fishing.
Oh, that's a cool one. Yeah, we're
Yeah, I
having
like it.
Let's Fishing Tonight segment.
Yeah, man. If I remember correctly, you said that you just had a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
I was talking to the guy from Connecticut, I believe, that we had on the show, and you felt out of the loop with what we were talking about. So
Yeah, you
that
basically were talking about.
yeah, we were talking about the different types of fishing line that we use.
Oh, I see. You taught me one thing though already about fishing line. I think it's called the braided line, where it's
Yeah.
like it's twirl. I don't know if it's.
Yeah. It's like multiple fibers that are wrapped together to make
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
I
knew that. Other than that, everything outside of it, no fucking clue what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm a big braided line guy.
To me, that
Eh
just seems like the right thing to have, like, all the time, though, if it's a stronger
well,
fishing line.
the only thing that's not good about it is that it's visible to the fish the easiest. Um, the
But don't they
translucent The translucent lines like monofilament and fluorocarbon, the fish don't see those as easy. So
Like
usually it'll
mono and
result
what?
in fluorocarbon. Those are the two that are like the fishing lines that look clear.
Okay.
Yep. Those two kind, you won't find braided line that looks like that.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's the only catch-22 really, in my opinion, to braided line. But what a lot of people do, myself included, is we tie up a leader. So I'll get like a 24-inch piece of fluorocarbon and I'll tie
okay.
my lure to that, and then I tie that to my braided line. So that way the fish are not seeing the braid, but I can still utilize the power of the braid.
So real quick, I did get a text from a certain someone. She said, "Tell Dan he can't use big words." And that was coming from my wife.
Okay. Hating on me.
No, she's calling me an idiot.
Oh. Oh, saying that you can't use big words?
No, you don't use big words.
Oh, okay. Oh, because I was confusing you?
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
No, no, you're okay. But really that's how you learn. I mean, some of the words make it seem like really complex,
Yeah.
but really it's not. Like, I'll dumb it down for you. Like the clear looking stuff,
Yeah.
that's braid or that's mono and fluorocarbon. And monofilament is my least favorite. It's
Why is
really
that?
stretchy.
Oh, it's stretchy.
Yeah, like if you wrap it around your fingers and like you can see that you're stretching the line. Um, it's really easy to break. It's not really resistant to abrasion. So anything sharp will cut it really easy. So if you
Do a
were
lot of
hooking,
fishermen use that type of line then, or is it just kind of like something they use in like
I would say primarily it's going to be your pan fishermen. Um,
pan fishermen?
yeah, the guys who are going out for like bluegill and
Oh,
crappie and perch. It's not really as important um, because they're not really fighting fish that are going to snap their line. So they might like it.
to
The
me though, you say crappie fish, it's something that's like I'm fishing for crap.
dude, crappie is like my favorite to eat.
Really?
Oh yeah, dude,
Huh.
and they're fun to catch, man. Like really fun. Crappie are just awesome. It,
I've never really. I don't think I ever caught them. Granted,
you
I've,
probably have. Um,
I've heard.
like
Wait, they look almost just like bluegill, right?
comparable. They're more like black and gray,
Okay.
but they have a bigger mouth, kind of like a hybrid between a bluegill and a bass. They definitely have um like they can eat bigger meals than like a bluegill or a sunfish, but
Oh,
crappie are one of those fish that a lot of people are big on. Like down south, crappie fishing is huge.
really?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's big here too. Crappie are one of those fish that people will kill over.
See, to me, I don't know if it's just because my my grandpa on my mom's side, huge fisherman. Like he was in the bass fishing tournaments up there in the UP, and he used to take me and my sister out fishing. I never caught shit, basically. My sister would always be catching bluegill left and freaking right, and that was just always my favorite thing to do. And I've always like, and I've always wanted to go bass fishing because I never caught a bass, and still to this day I haven't fucking caught one. And
I,
I
I
just
can get
feel,
you. I can get you on a bass for sure.
oh, I know you can because you got me on a pike. And to me, I feel like, and they always go. I'm going kind of back and forth. It seems like
You're right.
it, they always go to Minnesota, go sturgeon fishing all year, every year.
That'd be fun.
And to me, what it seems like the funnest thing to do fishing is going to bass fishing and fishing for pike. Only because they're just, to me, you see it on TV with the bass fishing tournaments, and he doesn't. Yeah,
What?
this is what we see in the comments right here.
I get the vibe that she's bigger into fishing than you are.
Oh yeah, she's 10 times more into fishing. That's what she used to do all the time growing up with her dad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think that you really need to get into it bigger then, because that'll be something fun that you guys can do together.
yeah. I mean, we bought uh, what are they called? Kayaks,
Yeah.
and to go do it. But then we had my daughter and just got busy with things. But it's bass fishing and pikes are the two things I just always wanted to catch. They just seem like the fucking funnest.
Well, I really like the fight. Like I'm a big catch and release guy. So like when I'm going fishing, I'm not usually trying to take my fish home to eat.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I like going for bass and pike.
Oh,
Because I enjoy the fight. They're like the apex predators in the water. Um, so I really enjoy targeting those as well. But
yeah.
smallmouth and largemouth are way different too. Um,
I've
but I like
seen
going for both.
I've seen small fish, I guess, kind of on the rise of like
Smallmouth.
something fun to go fish for. Like people are going more after smallmouth now. It seems like than largemouth.
I never have really been bigger on either. I enjoy catching them both, but
Yeah,
they're way different. Um, the largemouth tend to get bigger, but pound for pound, the smallmouth tend to fight a lot harder.
oh, really?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
smallmouth are really fun, man. Like they'll damn near rip the rod out of your hand. Like they fight a
now
lot,
is
especially if
there
you catch them in the river.
are they kind of I don't even know what are they known to this area where we're at, or are they kind of
Smallmouth.
more known towards different parts of the state?
Um, we we have both s- um largemouth and smallmouth here in our part of the state.
Uh-huh.
I would say that the largemouth are probably more common in most of your inland lakes here in our part of the state.
Yeah.
Um, where the smallmouth are going to be more common is in your rivers. Um, you will find smallmouth in some lakes around here, inland lakes,
Yeah.
but usually smallmouth like a little bit cooler water and like rockier bottoms, sandy rocky bottoms, stuff like that,
Oh,
logs.
okay.
So like they like rivers. Um, and when you catch them in the river, man, they're powerful because they're used to swimming up against current all day.
Is it
Um,
kinda like equivalent to like a pike
no, they um,
in
so
terms of fighting?
oh no, uh, pike fight weird. Um, pike, I would say that the pike strike, like when they hit your lure, it's probably the most violent of the three.
Uh-huh.
Um, but pike seem to fight weird. It's like really inconsistent. Like at times they'll be really pulling drag and really trying to pull line,
Uh-huh.
and then you'll have a period where you pull them right up. Um,
Hmm.
bass tend to fight consistently the whole time.
Yeah.
Um, I think a big bass fights harder than a pike, but
Hmm.
I've never caught a hog pike yet. Like I haven't caught a 40-inch pike yet.
Now I'm assuming that's like a
A
fucking
40-inch
beast.
is like a trophy. Is
Yeah.
like yeah, if you catch a 40-incher, then you have bragging rights. Like
Really?
yeah, if you catch a 40-inch pike, then you are known for somebody who catches big pike.
Now we gotta find the places that
Oh,
hold
they're here. No, they're here.
Like
Oh, yeah.
here in our
Oh,
area?
yeah. Yeah, they're here. I just haven't caught one yet.
I well, it's funny because I remember one time as a kid, my grandpa when I went to the UP up there, he took me to like this camp, something. I can't remember, but I was out there on the pier. He told me go fishing while I do some work stuff up here at the cabin. So I was out there fishing for some bluegill, and I just happened to look down, and I see like this 25-foot pike just swim right underneath the pier. I was like, "Holy shit!" That was the first. I think I was like 9, 10 years old at the time, and that's what started me up. Was like, I want to catch some pike.
Yeah.
And I just never did it because I just never had. Besides my grandpa, my dad would never really was into fishing. So I never had anybody really to go fishing with necessarily down here. The only time I went fishing really was when I was up in the UP with my grandpa.
No, man, my first exposure to pike, like the first time I saw one, it startled me. I was bluegill fishing with my uncle, who took me fishing when I was younger. He was a diehard pan fisherman. Like he was always going out fishing with a worm and bobber, but he would catch his limit all day. Um,
Yeah.
and anyway, I was pulling my bluegill into the boat, and I looked down in the water, and there was a huge fish with a long snout
Yeah.
that was about to eat my fish right as I had my hand in the water, and I remember it scared the shit out of me.
Oh man.
And I asked my uncle, I was like, "Uncle Mel, what is that?" And he was like, "Oh, that's a northern pike." And I was scared. Like I didn't want to swim in that water anymore, because like it intimidated me. But then once I got a little bit older and I got into fishing, yeah, I wanted to catch them.
Yeah. How
Um,
do you know how many roughly you have caught? Roughly
over 100.
over 100.
Yeah, hundreds maybe. Um, I've caught a lot. I just haven't caught any big ones yet. Um,
What would you say your biggest one that you've caught so far then?
Mid 30s, probably like a 34, 36 inch. Um, but it wasn't my fattest one. I've caught some like around 30 that were pretty fat. Um, but no, 40 inch is a big goal. But I will say that of all the fish that I go for, pike is the one that I probably have put in the least amount of work and research and dedication into. Um, Largemouth, for the area that we live in, I've caught a lot of big largemouth, and smallmouth. Um, but I put in a lot more work going after them and
Uh-huh.
figuring them out and studying like from other people, watching other people's methods and the way that they catch them. So I I haven't ever put that level of commitment into the pike yet.
Oh,
Pike are kind of always one of those where I usually go to a fishery targeting bass, and I like to pick the fisheries that have pike too. And if I'm not getting the bass that I want, I'll switch and I'll go for pike. That's usually how I do it. There's not very many times that I just go out and say, "Hey, I want to catch pike today." Um,
is
but
catching pike kind of, I don't wanna say easy, but it seems
it
like you can
depends.
you can kinda catch pike easily compared to bass, though.
It depends on the body of water, really.
Oh,
Um, there's a few places that I go and fish that if you wanted to catch a pike, I have 2 places where I would take you. And I feel like the odds would be pretty damn high for you to catch one and to catch a dogfish if you wanted. And then if you wanted to catch your first quality bass, I have the perfect place where that comes to mind where I would take you from a kayak
ooh, I'm
where
looking forward to
where
that.
yeah, that's well, there's pike there too. Staring profile picture, that big pike,
Yeah.
That's the lake.
Ah,
Yeah, but we went there, um, and he wanted to catch a pike.
yeah.
So I pointed him in the right direction of what lures would be a good idea, and he fucking whacked one his first time out there.
So what kind
So,
of lures are you using for pike? And because I know you got some right there.
um, I think I do have some pike lures here. The biggest thing that I consistently use for pike is anything with a blade on it. Anything that's making flash and
Blade on it?
vibration. A blade.
Yeah.
Um,
What do you mean by that?
I'll show you here. Hang on.
We all sit here while Dan gets his blade lure out here, and I'll just stand by and play some dun, 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 dun. Play some. No, I need to get waiting music. That's what I need to do. Or just keep saying Magnus Broadheads. You need to
Oh
get
yeah, I forgot about that.
Magnus Broadheads. Those are the best. Get yourself a pair of Magnus Broadheads. Yeah, now we just sit here and wait. Oh, and everyone, don't forget. So I'm supposed to be getting text updates from my buddy Braxton, who is out coyote hunting right now. So Braxton, if you are listening still to the show, if not, no, you are hunting out there. So keep us updated. I hate those little shits. And I'm looking forward to the updates as those come along. Magnus Broadheads.
Alrighty. So this here is one of my go-to pike lures. It's a MEPS brand.
Okay.
So this here is what I mean by a blade.
Yeah, I was about to ask. I figured.
Yep.
So
So
can you
yeah.
describe that for anyone that's going to be listening?
So pretty much when you're pulling this in the water, the water is gonna make this go
Look.
back and forth, and it's gonna flash, kind of like how it's doing here.
Okay.
And then what it does is it mimics a bait fish. So any predatory fish is gonna see the flash, and they're gonna think, "Oh, that kind of looks like a bait fish." And then with all of this back here, this rooster tail,
Yeah.
it's going to look like a couple other fish behind it. So they're going to think, "Oh, there's a school of bait fish. Let me go get a free meal." And then they come in here and they bite it.
Ah.
This here is one of my go-to lures if I'm fishing from a lake. And it's not current, and I don't have logs and timber that I have to worry about snagging. I love catching pike on these. Like, that's one
how,
of my go-tos.
how expensive are those for one?
If you start getting the bigger size, like the 5s and the 4s, they're probably like $10, close to $10 for a lure.
What do you
But
mean
the
5s and
smaller
4s?
ones,
Like
the
those the size of the blade?
yeah, like there's numbers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the number 5 is like the bigger ones.
Okay.
But like if I'm fishing when I fish in the river, I use really small ones. And surprisingly, I still catch quite a bit of pike, quality pike on them, and I don't get them hung up, and I don't lose as many lures, because whenever I use a lure like that in the river,
Uh-huh.
I'll get about 5 minutes of fishing in before I lose it.
Uh,
And yeah, if you're, $10 a lure, that shit adds up real quick.
right.
But this here is a little Panther Martin. Panther Martin is the brand. Dude, these right here kill. This tiny little lure, you take that out in the river, a pike will not turn that down.
Really? Thing
Dude,
looks so tiny though.
this here, like if I were to pick one lure, if I just want to go to a river and have fun and just catch fish all day, right here. Any little Panther Martin, number 6, so it's one of their bigger ones. Dude, smallmouth will hit that all day. Largemouth, if they're in there, pike, smallmouth, dude, that's a good lure right there.
Now, how fast are you kind of reeling in this thing, or are you kind of just doing it like, what's your method of reeling?
Um, it varies. So usually what I do first and foremost, if I feel that I'm getting like I'm hitting the bottom often and I keep getting hung up and I keep snagging on stuff, then automatically I'm telling myself I need to start reeling in faster
Okay.
because it's hitting the bottom. Um, and then if I feel like after I'm reeling in faster that I'm not getting any bites, then I'll go back to maybe trying to go just a tad slower again.
Okay.
And if I see that I'm getting strikes at a certain speed, then I try to just replicate that same speed every time. Um, but it's harder in the river. Um, I'm a lot more patient when I'm fishing a lake,
Okay.
and I'm not really worried about losing my lure. Um, but yeah,
Are those the
um,
type of lures you're always generally using though for pike? Is there like one that's like, you know what,
uh,
I'll try it. I've had some kind of success with it.
if I'm like if I were to like pick a day and say like I want to go and catch like today's the day that I'm trying to catch a 40 incher, I would probably experiment with live bait,
Live
which I
bait.
yeah, which I have done before.
Now,
So
what
like
type of live bait are you using?
probably like a bluegill or a creek chub
Okay.
or shiners that you can get from like a bait station.
Mm.
Um, usually what I like to do is just catch a couple panfish and throw them in the live well, and then go find a spot that you know pike are known to be, and put a hook through the dorsal fin of the bait fish, and see if a big pike comes up and smokes it. I've done that before too. That's pretty exciting.
Where do you generally look for pike? Where are they going to be kind of looking at the most? Be like, ooh, that's the spot. I know they're going to be. That's the spot where I want to at least start and move off from there. What are you looking for?
It would depend if it was a lake or if it was a river.
Let's
I
do
know in
both.
the I know in the rivers, like during the springtime is when the pike are spawning, and they tend to go up like in the shallows, um, like when they spawn. But then generally they tend to like to bed more in the deeper pockets for the rest of the year.
Okay.
Um, in lakes, it really just depends. Pike are a little bit different in lakes, unless you're fishing a lake that has a river attached to it, like that lake that we fished where you caught your first pike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like during the summertime when we were fishing, the pike were all in the lake. But like during the springtime, like when they were spawning, um, a lot of them were up in the river that fed into that lake
Oh, okay.
because they tend to like to um, get away from invaders when they spawn.
Seems rightfully so. They don't
Yeah.
want anybody fucking with them.
But I mean, pike are pretty much the biggest invaders. Like they're really aggressive. They'll they'll wipe out some fish populations if they if there's too many of them in a body of water. They'll kill everything.
Is there like so it sounds like the if there's pike in your lake, they are the apex predator in that lake.
Yeah,
Is there
yeah.
any
Unless there's muskie in there.
I was about to say, is there something other than that than pike?
Muskie, I would say is the freshwater apex.
Okay.
Besides, I guess some would say the snakehead or technically there have been sharks caught in freshwater, but traditionally, I think the muskie is the apex um, predator for fish.
Oh,
But the fastest is the northern pike. The northern pike is the fastest freshwater fish.
I didn't know that.
Yep. Muskie is like Big Brother. Not as fast and agile, but they just
Pack
get
a punch.
massive. They get massive.
Ah,
And their pattern and their coloration is a little bit different, but they're in the same family. Um, yeah, I have not caught a muskie yet. That's on my list. That would be a fun trip to do. Um, that's on my bucket list. I want to do a muskie trip, try to catch.
how big can those? What would be like
Oh,
40-inch version?
40, 40 inches the keeper. Like in Michigan, like in order for you to keep one, like in order for it to be legal, it's got to be 40 inches. So
Oh shit!
that puts it into perspective how big they can get.
Damn,
Um,
so they are getting fucking huge.
yeah, because the keeper northern pike has to be 24 inches in Michigan.
Wow.
So for a muskie, but muskie are also protected. There's not there's not a lot of them.
Uh-huh.
So um, you know, DNR is trying to keep them here and trying to allow their population to build. But they're starting to become more common. Eagle Lake and Fort Custer.
Okay.
There's quite a bit of muskie out there. I've had several encounters with muskie out there, and I'm starting to see less bass, which is telling me that the muskie are starting to kind of take over.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, muskie are pretty cool. If you ever have an opportunity to catch one of those, that would be. I mean, the nickname for the muskie is the fish of 10,000 cast. They they say that that's how long it takes you to catch one.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's basically almost impossible to catch one.
No, I wouldn't say that, but
It's just very, very hard.
yeah, it's not that type of fish to where like somebody who doesn't really fish often or somebody who has very basic knowledge of fishing, they're probably not going to just go out and catch one. Um,
So you gotta
and
put your time and research into them, and
yeah, or pick the right fishery. Um,
yeah.
but like just the way that people fish them is different, man. The equipment that you have to use for big muskie is different. Some of the lures almost look like a joke.
Do you have any
Like
examples of those?
I don't have any musky lures.
Oh,
That one that I showed you, that MEP with the big rooster tail,
yeah.
that one is borderline. Like that one would be like a baby musky lure. But they make like most musky lures are like this big.
It's almost
Like
a foot long.
yeah, oh yeah. Some of them are over a foot long. Like a 12-inch swim bait with a 12-inch tail,
Oh, that's
making
crazy.
it like a 24-inch lure. Like
That's crazy.
yeah, yeah. But in Hastings, there's a pretty well-known lake in Hastings. It's called Thornapple. Also, the Thornapple River, loaded with muskie.
Mm.
Um, I've never caught one, but I fished for him once in the lake. Didn't catch him, but I floated the river. I floated the Thornapple and made a huge rookie mistake and did not bring my fishing rod. And I was seeing muskie left and right. Like,
Oh, shit.
yeah, I was seeing them and I was like, damn, I was like, the rumors are true. Because my buddy, the bow fisherman
Yeah.
that I'm gonna try to set up an outing where we all go out and shoot. He was the one who was telling me because he bow fishes thornapple. And he was telling me like, "Hey, bro, if you're trying to catch a muskie," he said, "you got to go out to thornapple." He's like, "I see him all the time." And then I floated it on like the 4th of July, where it was like one of those booze
Yeah.
where like drinking is the focal point and not nature. So that's why I didn't bring my fishing rod.
Oh,
But I remember that I saw probably at least 5 muskie that day.
really?
Yep. So they're out there. Um, but Eagle Lake is another one that is close to home. But the big one in Michigan is Lake St. Clair. That's the one where Braxton was talking about. They went out fishing with his dad for smallmouth.
Yeah. Where exactly was that again?
Lake St. Clair, it's like over on the east side of the state.
Okay.
Like part of the lake is in Canada.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Hmm.
depending on what part of the lake that you fish, you might have to make sure that your passport is valid.
Oh, wow.
And from a credible source of mine who has been wanting to plan a muskie trip out there, he said that the Canada side is known to be the better side for the muskie. So
Shit.
yeah.
I don't even think
But
I have my own passport.
well, the thing that's crazy about Lake St. Clair is it's massive. It almost looks like one of the Great Lakes to where you can't see across it. Um, and it's like really blue, crystal clear, turquoise waters. But it's a really shallow lake. Like the average depth of that lake is like 5 to 7 feet.
Uh,
Yeah, so it makes it easy to sight fish.
yeah.
Because there'll be like a rock pile and you'll cruise up and it'll look like they're only 2 feet below you, but they'll be down at the bottom 7 feet below, and there'll be like 3 5-pound smallmouth just chilling on a couple of rocks, and you can just cast right there and just jig it and just bounce it off the bottom.
Yeah.
Dude, smallmouth are fun, dude.
That sounds like a freaking blast, though.
Oh, fishing's fun, man. And the cool thing is like there's a million ways to do it. Um, like there's a wide variety. It's a lot different than hunting, but it can be fun. I definitely recommend that we do some fishing this summer.
Now, what type of bait are you using then for bass fishing then?
For bass, I use a lot of soft plastics. Um,
Like
like,
crankbaits? Is that what you mean?
nope. Um, a crankbait. I use crankbaits too. I tend to use crankbaits a lot, like in the spring, because there's not as much vegetation grown up yet,
Okay.
like seaweeds and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, this here is a crankbait.
Okay.
You you hear the rattle?
Yeah.
So yeah, it it kind of shakes back and forth in the water like this,
Uh-huh.
and then it'll rattle, and it looks like a little perch. This pattern here is a replica of a perch pattern.
Now, what's that clear thing do in the front?
The bill.
Yeah.
So the bill, what it does is it disperses water, and each bill is different. So like when you buy a crankbait, it'll have like the depth or the range. And what that is it's telling you like how far down when you're reeling this in, how far down it's going to be.
Okay.
So I think this one is like a medium, like a 4 to 8 feet in the water column. So that means when you cast this out, it's going to be going down like 4 to 8 feet. And the only way that they can make that work is with this bill.
Now, with it longer, is it going to go deeper then?
Yeah. Usually the bigger the bill, usually the deeper it is. So this one might actually be deeper. But yeah, I've caught some fish on this. You can see
Yeah, it does look like a little perch.
it's got like teeth marks on it back here
Oh yeah.
where the paint is missing.
Yeah, a little scuffed up there.
Yeah, that's from pike. But no, a soft plastic is like the rubbery looking stuff.
Oh, it's like your worms.
Mm-hmm. Like right here.
Okay.
Like if I were to pick if I had to pick one fishing lure for a bass, that'd probably be it right there. Like if I had to, like if I'm not catching shit, I'll grab a Cinco, and usually I can catch something.
Yeah.
Yeah, soft plastic is one of my go-tos, and you can fish this a million different ways.
How do you mean?
Like just different variations with the hook.
Okay.
So like you see how I'm holding this right here?
Yeah.
I'm like right about halfway through the body of the hook,
Yeah.
or through the body of the worm, and it's wanting to kind of fold.
Yep.
So this here is a wacky rig. So if you rig up a Cinco worm, and if somebody says, "Hey, I'm fishing a Cinco, a wacky Cinco,"
Uh-huh.
what they're doing is they're going to put the hook right through here where my fingers are.
Okay.
And then every time that they jig their rod tip, your Cinco is doing that. And it really triggers a lot of strikes from the bass. Because you cast this out and naturally it's going to sink. Like it'll go all the way to the bottom.
That will go all the way to the bottom?
Yeah, yeah. That's why they call them a Cinco.
But you don't need like any weight or anything on?
Nope. I mean, it'll take a while for it to really sink, and if it was like a really windy day or something like that, it could prevent it from wanting to go. But traditionally, yeah, a Cinco will usually drop down about a foot a second. So it'll go down there pretty quick. But if you put a little bit of weight on it, then yeah, it'll really go down there. But what I like to do with these is I like to cast them and just leave them for like a while. Like I let them just sit, and then after I haven't got anything, then once I start retrieving it, I'll start giving it a couple of jigs and get it going, and then I'll let it go and I'll let it sink again. And usually when I don't touch it and I let it sink again, that's usually when I get the majority of my strikes on this.
Okay.
But like the other way, like the most traditional way to fish one of these is the Texas rig, which is when you take your hook, you put it in, and then you turn it back around and you bury the hook into the body of the worm. And then what that does is it makes it weedless. So if you were to rub your
weedless or weedless?
Weedless. Yep. So what it does is if you were to rub your finger across it, you wouldn't be able to feel the hook.
Okay.
But if you were to like push down a little bit, then that hook is just below the surface and it's ready to stick out. So pretty much what that does is it allows you to cast this bad boy into anything. Like if you're like, man, I bet there's a bass under all those lily pads right over there. But like that crankbait, for example,
Yeah.
If you were to try to cast that in there, dude, it had 6 hooks on it.
Yeah, you're gonna get caught.
Yeah, it's gonna do nothing but just waste time. But if you have a Texas rig, Cinco, you can throw that sumbitch anywhere. And that's why I really like the lure. Um, like, fish love worms. In Michigan, for bass, this here is my favorite color design, like a,
Like a
um
dirt green.
well, it's usually like a watermelon red is what they call this, because
Oh,
there's red flakes and black.
yeah.
But yeah, like green with red and black flakes is like
Okay.
my go-to here in Michigan.
Huh.
And
What's
then, I don't have one right now, but, last year and the year before, I started fishing, chatterbaits, um, which I caught a lot of really good bass and pike on a chatterbait. It's definitely,
if you
it's
don't have one,
definite
what are those like?
um, I'm gonna pull up a picture right now. They're they're kinda like a map, I guess. Um, they vibrate. They vibrate big time.
Uh,
Um, and, like, it's really easy to customize them. Like, you can add stuff to them.
really?
Yeah, like a trailer. Um, like, most people don't fish them, like, just fresh out of the box. A lot of people will hook, like, a swim bait to it. So right here,
Oh, okay. Yeah, there we go. Leave it like right there. Oh, and then just an ad came up. Okay, so it's kind of like feathery type things off the back end of it. I don't
yeah,
want
so,
to say
like,
feathery.
no, like, those are, like, rubbery.
Yeah, yeah, but it's like a weird tail type thing, like on your
Yep,
other one.
and then this metal blade, it really vibrates. Uh,
Okay,
it really gets the water dispersed, and then,
I
the
see a
way
lot
that
of
I
people customize and make their own.
well, usually what I would do what I do when I fish one of those is I pair it with one of these,
Okay,
a swim bait. So what I do is the hook the hook on that chatterbait,
uh huh.
I put this I put this on the hook, so that chatterbait is attached to this, and the fish sees the chatterbait and this really nice action of this tail, and it makes it a big heavy lure, but dude, I caught a lot of big fish. Um, I caught I caught this bass here
Oh,
on
that's a
this chatterbait.
hog.
Yeah, that's the lake that I was gonna take you to, bro. But look
Oh
at that.
shit.
I caught that on Easter Sunday. Like early spring, as soon as all the ice has melted,
Uh huh.
that's when you can catch a trophy bass
Really?
because that's when they're spawning or they're pre-spawn. So that means that they're pregnant and they're about to have a baby or they're on beds. And if they're on beds having babies, like that's when the females get huge.
Oh,
And yeah, it's hard to get them. It's hard to get them, but if you can find them, um, like that's how you get the potential of the biggest bass.
yeah.
like all the diehard bass fishermen, that's when they're targeting bass. Early spring,
Hmm.
early spring,
When did when did when did we go? It seemed like it was kinda like July-ish.
summertime. Yeah, dude. Yeah, we went fishing in the heat of the summer.
Yeah.
That's when most people go fishing because it's a good time of year to go fishing
Yeah.
because it's beautiful and it's comfortable outside and you can catch something every cast. But yeah, the day that I caught that largemouth on Easter, I caught this within the last 5 minutes of my fishing, and it was the only bite that I had for the entire morning.
What'd it feel like
Oh,
once it hit and you were reeling it in?
oh, it felt like a lot of weight, and I'm familiar I'm familiar with that lake, and I'm familiar with that lure, and I knew that there was no obstruction, like, there was nothing in that area that was going to obstruct my lure,
Yeah.
um, unless it was a fish. And yeah, I had my buddy with me. I had one of my best friends with me, and yeah, he took the pictures, and I'm pretty sure he caught more fish than me that day. Um, and I was just sticking to it. He kept telling me like, "Hey man, like why don't you throw a Cinco on, bud?" Because I'm pretty sure he was tearing him up with the Cinco.
Yeah.
And the chatterbait, man, was just something that I don't catch a lot of fish on it, but when I catch them, they're quality.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time putting a lure down, like, when my gut is speaking to me and my gut is telling me like, "Dude, that's the lure you need to fish. Like,
Uh-huh.
don't put it down." And worst case scenario, I find on those days when I'm being stubborn with the lure and I don't want to, switch, that, like, my casting is spot on with that lure, you know? Like, if you just cast with the same lure over and over again, you'll like, at the end of the day, you'll be like, "Damn, man, like, my casting is dialed right now." But yeah,
That's
man,
one
like
thing though I noticed that when we did go out fishing that one day, you were kinda like dead set on like one style. I think you're using some red type worm and you're like, "No, I'm gonna make this fucking work." And you went a long time before you switched it up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was like it was the heat of the summer, and all of a sudden, it seems like I was struggling, to find the bass out there, um, and then I started experimenting, and I started fishing them a little bit deeper out there, and I was using that, like, ribbon tail worm, like that long red worm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, I was starting to kind of figure them out a little bit, like, during the hot months, that lake was just so damn hot and, pressured. They like, there was a tournament out there, like, every weekend, so
So they're
it
getting annoyed of
yeah, like, it was a tough lake for largemouth, in my
yeah.
opinion, but it was good practice. I
It
think the
seems like
biggest
every time I still think we don't know what the fuck's going on with my rod. Of every time we were casting with mine, it was fraying
yeah, I'm pretty
every time.
sure it's gotta be it's gotta be one of your ceramic inserts is probably missing, or it's got a crack, like a fracture, and it's got, like, a rough edge on it,
Uh,
but I can replace that. I actually, I've done that before. I have, like, a little kit to where I can repair, fishing rods.
yeah,
Yeah, actually, um, when I was doing that, I almost started making my own because I watched a bunch of videos on how to repair them, and then I was like, "Dude, it's not even that hard to make one." It's definitely something that I wanna do down the road, is make my own rod and catch fish on a custom rod that I made myself.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It just some of the startup equipment is not cheap, and
Oh, yeah.
I've just getting into hunting. I've kind of decided to invest my money into that right now instead of fishing.
Yeah.
I've got enough fishing stuff from when I was really hardcore into it to keep me going during the summer and have everything that I need. Um, but I don't really want to further, like, I don't really have any big fishing investments planned.
Yeah.
Um, Hunting is getting all my extra dollars at this point.
Yeah, I got money saved up for my new bow, and then I was looking at some other stuff I'm gonna need because I'm gonna try and build like this mini food plot. I want to try it. What I've read shouldn't really do what I want to do, but I'm gonna try it because, well, so where I'm gonna be hunting, where I hunt, I'm gonna be putting in a little small watering hole, and I want to try putting in like this mini food source around it, and I want to see kind of how that goes this year. And if it works, it works. It doesn't, at least we tried. But yeah, not to get off tangent with fishing because I still want to talk about fishing. But yeah,
Oh no, you're good.
yeah,
So you're probably going to be getting that bow ordered here pretty soon, then, huh?
yep. I'm gonna be going probably because I'm gonna be going to this new archery shop. Nothing
D-
wrong with the ones that guys that I go to now, but
Where do you go now?
cruising is archery.
Okay.
I like them. I grew up with them basically, but I want to go to this other shop I've been reading about up in Holland. And I'm not saying that these guys don't pay attention to the details, but I think these guys up here, they're more, I don't know, just reading about them, they put a lot more into the detail and they take you along with the process. And these guys, they've been doing it for so fucking long. They get everything ready for you and boom, boom, bing, bang, bong, you're out the door. With them, I kind of want to be with the whole process of it because I don't have my own bow press, so I can't do mine. So it looks like up there, they're more willing to work with you on doing your own bow setup type deal. So that's why I'm going to be going up there eventually when I get my new bow.
You plan on ordering it through them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I think you told me, though, it was there. Some stores are out till July on back order. So,
Yeah, one I know that one place that I stopped at a couple weeks ago said that if I were to order it that day, that they'd be here in like mid-June,
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. So,
That was for
um,
the lift, though.
yeah, and that's what I'm gonna be getting. So I kind of figured that being the hot bow coming out right now, I knew it was gonna be a minute, but so I got some time to kind of save up on that part still and save up on some food plot stuff, material that I'm gonna be needing, and yeah. What so was that your biggest bass that you've caught to date, or have you caught a bigger one?
Um, it's hard to tell. Um, I've caught some big bass when I was younger, and a lot of the big ones that I've caught, like I think that one might be one of the bigger ones I caught. Um, but it seems like a lot of the big ones that I caught, I did not have a scale with me. It was either when, um,
Spoken like a true fisherman.
yeah, it
I
was
caught
like,
the biggest one. I didn't have my scale with me.
well, and that's why, like, that's why I say it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Like, I know, I know that that's a quality bass. Like, that's a big old largemouth. Um, but like when you put a pound on it, when you don't have a scale to confirm, it's hard to say. Um, that that was the first time that I fished that year. Usually Easter Sunday is like the first time that I'll fish um, for bass.
Okay.
And yeah, I had my tackle bag. I went through it the night before and I thought I had it all organized, and I put my scale in there. But then when I caught that bass and I went to throw it on the scale, it was dead. So I was like, shit.
Uh,
But it's like one of those things. It was like what you were talking about, how there's been guys that pass a 200 because they can't get it on film.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I I was a little bummed because I believe like you can register catches and get like credentials for a master angler in the state of Michigan um if you have documented photos. So like that big bass that I caught, if I would have had like my scale operating properly and I had taken the time to hold it up against a measuring stick and stuff like that, I could have submitted all of the photos to like DNR's website, and I probably could have got a master angler on that, because I think in order to get master angler for largemouth, I think it has to be over 5 pounds, something like that. And that one was definitely over 5 pounds.
Now, do you get what's comes with being a master angler?
Oh, it's just like a it's
Just
just
get
like a certification. It'd just be like something really cool to put up on a wall.
uh
You know, I guess it'd be comparable to probably having like a Pope and Young.
okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like once you catch like in Michigan, once you catch like a 5 pound bass, you're like on that Pope and Young type
The
level.
level.
Yeah.
All
Like
right,
we're like,
pretty cool
oh,
being
okay.
though.
Yeah. And then also they have like a catch and release thing, like a mention as well.
Yeah.
Like like if you release the fish, they they give you praise for that as well. It's just something that I always kind of wanted to do,
Yeah.
but I didn't have all the documentation.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like it was a little bit of a spontaneous, like I saw that Easter Sunday was going to be a little bit warm, and I was like, you know what? I think I might fish. And then I didn't have my scale, but I mean, I had my best friend with me, and I caught that fish. Like I know I caught it.
Yeah.
Having the picture is always the biggest thing for me. Like I like to have the memory. Like I like to be able to look at it and remember like, "Oh yeah,
I
I,
remember
I am
that.
yeah, like I am a badass. Like I caught that."
Well, let's lead into this segment because I want to do 2 segments before we goes out for the night.
Oh, yeah. Campfire stories.
What would you say is your favorite all-time fishing story that's always going to stick with you forever? That's like number 1.
Um it's kind of hard. I'll give you a fishing story, a good fishing story of mine.
Okay.
Um so like a few years ago, um I like that was when I was really obsessed and hardcore about largemouth fishing, and I was really watching a lot of videos and reading a lot. Um, and I was really starting to think that I was getting the spawn figured out, which is, the early season when they're on beds. I really thought that I had a good understanding, and that um, I was fishing I was fishing times when nobody else was fishing, and it was really clicking. Like I was feeling like the man. And I had bought my most expensive rod and reel setup. I had a brand new Shimano bait casting reel. I had a Shimano Corrado DC, which was like a $300-400 reel.
Dang.
Yeah, and the DC on it stands for digital control. So it like with with bait casting reels, which you have one, you you know firsthand that it takes a little bit of finesse to use it, right?
Oh, yeah, otherwise you're fucked.
Yeah, it's not
Yep.
easy. It takes
Oh.
yeah, it takes time. Well, you if you went and bought any Shimano digital control reel, like you don't even have to keep your thumb on the spool. It's like a push button at that point. Like you push it and you send it and it'll automatically be able to sense if the spool is going too fast, and it'll calibrate and it'll slow it down automatically.
That's
Um
crazy.
yeah, dude, I didn't think it was going to be worth the money, but when I
It
got
was.
it, I was like, dude, this is like the best money I've ever spent. It it was freaking I loved that reel to death. And I put it on a favorite rod. Favorite Fishing is the brand.
Okay.
They've got pretty good stuff. It was probably like $150 rod. Um, so I mean, it was a pretty expensive setup, and it was it was like I really enjoyed it. Like it was fun to use, and I was out in the early spring, and I was targeting bass on beds, and it was just one of those weird days where it seemed like I was getting like unreal luck. Like it was just one of those days where like literally nothing, like every cast I was catching a bass, a quality bass. And it was the first time ever in my all the years of fishing that I saw with my own eyes a male and a female on a bed, and I caught the male and the female both off the bed back to back.
Wow.
Yeah, normally you'll keep catching that male. You'll keep catching the male. It's rare for the female to bite off of the bed. That's what a lot of people do in other states like Texas, like when they're out going for the really big ones. They'll catch the male and they'll put it in their live well, and they'll just leave it in there so they can try to fish for the female. And then
Really?
yeah, and then once they catch the female, they let the male go again. Like it's just because they get burned out of catching them over and over again. But anyways, this day that I was fishing, like I was on another level. Like if you were to have filmed me, it would have looked like I was a pro. Like I was killing it and I was destroying it. Like I even felt bad for my buddy who was with me because
You
it
wasn't
was a
catching anything?
slow no, it was a slow morning for him, but like literally everything was going right for me. And like a couple hours into it, we had like a light rain and my hands were starting to get like pruny and cold and wet, and I went to really send one, and my rod slipped out of my hand, and it fell into the lake, and
Oh.
I tried grabbing it and it started sinking really fast, and
Uh-huh.
I know this body of water, and I knew where I was roughly about 50 feet deep, and like I knew that going in after that rod was not worth it. And I had another rod. In my kayak still, but I had like a soft plastic on there and I couldn't reach it. Like I tried grabbing my other rod to try to catch it,
Uh-huh.
and it I watched a $500+ rod and reel just
Sink
get
to the bottom.
donated. Yeah. So
Oh my
then,
god,
yeah.
that
So then,
sucks.
yeah. Oh, dude, it 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 sucked. It'd be like losing your bow.
Oh
It'd be
no.
like you. It'd be like you right now. Like, you know how excited you are to get this Matthews lift?
Yeah.
Okay, so it'd be like you get the Matthews lift and your first hunt, you're up in the tree stand and you drop it out of the tree and you fucking shatter it. You know,
Yeah.
it'd be like, oh my God, like this is my favorite bow that I've ever had. It's the most advanced technology out of any setup I've had.
Yeah.
Like I have a more competitive advantage this year hunting because I have a better weapon.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I I I have my buddy with me, so I was trying to like keep my composure, and like every bit of me wanted to throw a temper tantrum
I
and
was about
like,
to ask, that was the next question. How close were you to being like, "Fuck this shit, fuck."
oh no, I like normally I would have. Like I don't know why I didn't like drown myself right then and there.
Shit.
Or say, "Fuck this lake. I'm never coming back here," and storming out of there and just leaving, but I kept my composure, and, I was just like, "Okay." Grab my other rod, and literally, like, the very next cast, my very first cast with my other backup rod that I had, I pulled a big female off of a bed. Right right in front of my buddy who had literally just been he just had been fishing this hole for, like, the last half hour,
Yeah.
and he wasn't getting nothing. My first cast, I had a different method of the way that I was fishing, pulled a big female. If I woulda caught her probably, like, a week prior, it probably would have been my biggest largemouth. She was huge, but I could tell that she had already gave birth. Like, she was post spawn. Like,
Oh,
she had just spawned, and she looked like shit. Like, comparable to how the bucks look post rut.
yeah.
Yeah, like how they've lost 30% of their body weight.
Yeah.
Their fur coat doesn't look good. Um, bass, like females will have like big gashes, and like they'll be discolored and they look like shit right after they have their babies because they've been fighting because they won't get off their bed. And when any other predator comes by, they'll fight them. And a lot of times they'll get bit by pike or they'll get bit by other bass or turtles. And yeah, like they scrap to get through it. And then the one that I caught, she was huge. She was probably 5 pounds at least. Um, but if I were to have caught her when she was all fat and plump,
Yeah.
like you could just tell her frame that she would have been massive if I caught her before she gave birth. But I mean, the moral of the story was that I kept my composure and I didn't throw that temper tantrum. And because of that, I was blessed with a trophy
Fish.
right after, immediately after. So yeah, it still sucks because I want that fishing rod back, but it is what it is. It was a fish. It was a day of fishing that I'll never forget.
How long, to kind of rub salt in the wound, I guess. How long were you saving up for all that for that new rod and reel stuff?
Oh, to be honest, I probably wouldn't have even been able to buy that if it wasn't for, um, like, the hazard shit that we got during the pandemic. Um,
Oh, so you got it during COVID year.
yeah,
Ah,
yeah, it was like I
so you
had
had
been
back pay
saving.
extra and you put
Yeah,
it
it
towards
was
it.
like I had been saving to get a quality new rod and reel for the year, um, but usually what I do is I buy usually, like, middle of the road price range for
Yeah.
fishing stuff, um, or I wait until I can find something high end on sale, um, but no, I wasn't really in the price range to even buy that setup, but when we got, like, all that
Got nice
frickin'.
checks.
Yeah, like, whatever hazard stuff, like the.
And we got hazard pay, and then we had, like, back pay on contracts that we didn't settle on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah, it was, like, one of those checks that I wasn't really planning on, and it was just kinda like a little bit of a bonus, and, I was able to upgrade my purchase, and I bought that. I really wanted to try out that digital control, and, I will buy another one, but though I tried calling for, like, warranty and stuff, but no n nobody's gonna work with me, like, "What happened to it?" I dropped it. I dropped it in the lake." So,
Well, you'd
it
think that they would have some type of warranty for that type of situation, though.
well, I don't know. That's the tricky thing about fishing from a kayak, though. Um, it's not as big of it's not as big of a platform as you think,
Yeah, no.
and, like, I've had, several other close encounters where I have dropped my rod, but I get it real quick,
Yeah,
or, like, it sometimes it'll fall out of my hand, but if I'm fishing in, like, a depth of water that I can reach the bottom, I'll go get it, but not that lake. That lake is, like, 50 feet deep, and there's creatures in there that I've seen that I would be scared, like, I wouldn't wanna swim in that lake.
really. Oh,
Huge,
man.
huge fish. I've seen well over 40-inch pike caught out of there. I've seen, like, freakish dogfish, and it's a catch and release lake,
Okay.
because there's unsafe mercury levels.
Mm,
So, that's just one of those weird things that I've heard is that, like, when there's high mercury that the fish tend to get bigger.
yeah. Oh, man, that sucks to hear, man, I'm sorry.
Shit happens.
Yeah. Well, real quick, I do want where is it? Now I gotta find it.
Debate Corner.
Last thing of the night. So someone asked me my thoughts on people that cut the heads off of deer that are being found on the side of the road. I really didn't have an answer for it. Like they asked like my opinion on it, my thoughts on it. Even that was asked me hours ago, and I don't know how I feel about it. Like it's a dead deer, so it's just sitting there on the side of the road. Um, would I go cut like let's just say if it's a buck, for example, that's found dead on the side of the road, and someone wants to go cut its head off. I've heard people see him do it. Um, my opinion on it, I don't. It's a dead deer, so I don't.
Yeah, if you see one and its head is clean off, it's safe to assume that it was a buck.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so I don't know
No,
what would be your thoughts on that? Because would you be against it?
I don't really
Okay
have an
for it?
issue with it. I do remember, though, that the first time I saw that, that it stood out to me like, "That's weird." And I remember I asked my buddy, who is an experienced, outdoorsman, and, I was like, "Dude," I was like, "Have you ever seen a deer, like, on the side of the road with his head clean off?" He was like, "Yeah." He's like, "People do that all the time." I was like, "For what?" He was like, "Because they want the antlers."
Yeah.
And he seemed so nonchalant about it, like it was pretty normal. So, I that's really the only thing that I can think of. Um, I would, imagine that it would probably be a quality deer. I mean, I wouldn't do it for any old deer.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would do it necessarily because I just don't know if I'd wanna stop on the road just to cut off a deer's head
I
for a
think
pair of antlers.
I could think of a scenario where you would.
What was
You
that?
Okay, so you're leaving your hunting farm, and you, you get a text from your wife talking shit about your fishing abilities, and she tells you to go pick her up a shamrock shake on the way home,
Yeah.
and you look up and you run him over and you kill him. Would you then, like, he's for sure dead, you know the deer, you have a history with the deer, are you cutting his head off?
Yeah.
See? So, I think it's not I think it does make sense, you know?
Yeah, like, I'm not
Um,
against people doing it, I just
I think it's a little weird, though.
yeah, that there it is, that's the word I'm looking for, it's
Yeah,
weird to me, it's to look over and see the side of the road, someone sawing off a deer's head just for the
yeah.
antlers.
Yeah, like, I don't think that the dudes who do it are
Or but
necessarily weird, but I feel like if I were to do it, it would have to be, like, ideal situation, like,
yeah.
I know this animal and there's nobody around, but, like, I'm not pulling up broad daylight when there's cars zipping by with my Sawzall and just cutting off this deer's head, like, hell
Yeah.
no. Like, that would be bizarre, I think.
Like, I don't even know if I would do it, like, in that situation. Let's say it's now, I guess, realistically, it's gonna be like a 110-inch deer. You're not gonna see me do it. If it's like a 220 and, like, it's just a monster fucking rack, yeah, I might stop on the side of the road and be like, "You know what? Let's just load the fucking deer up, and then I'll take it home, and I'll do it there."
Yeah,
But,
that's a good idea too.
yeah,
But
that's the only
I think the reason why people do that is if you take the deer, you have to tag it. You have to burn a tag.
yeah, but I think they can get some type of roadkill type tag
Yeah,
and, like, call up DNR, "Hey, there's a dead deer on the side of the road," and you can get that. I would do it that way. I wouldn't just say, "Oh,
yeah,
I'm gonna throw it back in my truck." But, yeah,
yeah,
that's
no, if I saw, like, a hog and it was just dead on the road, it might be tempting to say, "Man, like, that's a nice rack. Like, I'd like to have that around my house." Like, that's a conversation piece right there.
yeah.
Like,
Like, it's
yeah,
awkward. Like, it'd be an awkward situation to, like, find yourself in, I guess. I don't know.
yeah.
But, yeah, I'm not against it, not against anyone doing it, just
No, but I've been seeing
it's
it.
weird.
I've been seeing it, yeah. I'd say a handful every year, um, just straight up headless,
I've read stories where
surgical.
people hunt the deer illegally, and they'll just chop the head off and not even take the deer meat. Now, those people are fucking assholes.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're just hitting on the side of the road and like everyone does, and you just kinda drive off, whatever, after that point, but in those situations, Yeah.
Yeah, I don't support that at all.
Oh.
But I'm not against using roadkill that, just on the side of the road. I don't have an issue with that. Yeah.
Oh.
It is different though.
Yeah. Just a little
I think
odd.
it's normal for it to catch somebody's attention like that because it had the same impact on me.
Yeah.
I was like, that's weird. Like somebody clearly cut the head off. Like I know a car didn't do that. And then
Right.
I remember I mentioned it to somebody and I was kind of expecting him to be like, that is fucking weird, bro. But no, he was like, yeah, man, people cut deer's heads off all the time. It's probably a buck.
Yeah.
Probably a nice buck.
Hmm.
I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, I think we have a fun show tonight. I learned a lot more about fishing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we can keep talking about it any other time.
Yeah.
It's got me excited, man. I think it'd be fun to get together and fish. I've got a couple spots that are really fun. Like when I'm trying to take somebody fishing, like those are the spots that I like to go because there's a lot of variety.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's something we can do this spring. Spring is probably better. Summer,
You go fishing.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think spring is just usually a little bit better.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm planning on spending a lot more time outside this year. That's for sure.
Yep, you just got to give up that golf and got to
Well, I
give
don't
it
know
up.
that. Well, I do want to play on a Thursday league. It's an optional league, but you win money off of that league, and it's fun. But there's fishing involved. I might have to pass up the golf to go some fishing. So yeah,
Definitely bow fishing.
fuck yeah, dude. I gotta go bow fishing.
I'm
That's for
gonna
sure.
I'm gonna work on getting that locked up. That's right around the corner. Early spring,
Yeah.
that's the time, but it's gonna be a late night.
When
So
you think about it, today's Thursday, the 29th of February. Tomorrow's first day of March.
yeah, it'll probably be he'll probably be going out by sometime this month,
Yeah.
March,
Gotta lock
April
that
for
shit up.
sure. No later than April.
Well, I think we had a good week this week. Great guess. Oh, since you weren't here yesterday, I'll say this before we close out the night. John lives basically right next to the president.
Really?
Yep. Caught me off guard by surprise. I felt like I had so many questions, but I couldn't think of it. Like I was like, what? And like he couldn't hunt anymore because he had property that he had access to hunt across the street from the president's house. Couldn't hunt it anymore. Yeah. So that was kind of interesting. And you should see the bucks he had, man. Go back and watch that episode, man. That dude put some fucking hogs down.
In Delaware?
Yeah. And his oldest buck was 8.5 years old. That
That's
thing was,
impressive.
yeah. He put a lot of work into that deer, that's for sure. That was an awesome. He knows how to kind of pick those little spots in those pockets. So he knows what he's doing in Delaware, in a little small sliver of Delaware. Delaware's like this fucking big.
Tri-County.
That's still so fucking weird to me. It's only
I
3
know.
county state. Oh man! But next week we're fully loaded with guests every day of the week, and one guest we had on. I messaged for Florida. I already booked up Florida, so I was like, you know what? We'll schedule in for Georgia week. So he's on the tail end of Georgia week. Looking forward to that. So next week we're booked fully solid. So next week we go to Florida. Start off the week with a bang. But man, I'm anxious going into the weekend. We had a great fun week. Get some nice rest. Get back at it for next week, man.
Heck yeah.
All right. Let's take it out for the night, man.
Alrighty.
Again, fun week.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Whitetail Advantage Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.